In today's video, I explain to you exactly how to lose that last bit of stubborn lower belly fat. Hey guys, what's going on? This is Paul Ravella from ProPhysique.com. In today's video, I'm gonna address a topic that I probably get asked about more often than any other topic. In fact, I've already done this video a couple different times, and this is going to be the last time I actually do this video. The reason being is whenever I look back at the videos I've done in the past, I want to make some changes, I want to update the information, and I want to make it a little more complete for you guys. So this is going to be a very complete guide, including exercises, cardio, diet, and honestly just how to set the goal and attain it to make sure that you lose that lower belly fat. We'll even get into a little bit about how long it's going to take you to get there, right? Today's question does come from my Instagram direct message. As I said, I get this question quite a lot. So if you're interested in this type of information around the evidence-based approach to losing body fat, building muscle, and having the physique of your dreams, please hit the subscribe button. And let me read the question and then let's get into it. One problem I struggle with to get that really lean look is my lower belly. I look decently lean at the moment, I have good definition, and I don't think my body fat percentage is too high. Fast forward a bit. I'm just wondering if there's anything different I can do at the gym, maybe my diet. Interested in hearing from you. So again, this question is something I get quite often in various different forms, but it usually comes down to how do you get that stubborn lower belly fat off? And for us men, even the lower back can be another problem area. And the first thing I want to address is that you can't just start losing fat there, okay? So understanding that yes, if you want to lose the lower belly fat in the next 10 days or the next 3 weeks, well, you gotta already be very lean everywhere else, all right? So that's step number one, is just understanding that it's a process of eliminating body fat, and our body fat comes off in a predetermined manner. If you think of it as a paper towel roll, if you think of the paper towels on the outside of the roll when it's new, that is the body fat that is not your lower abdomen. But if you think of those last few paper towels right before you get to the center of the roll as the stubborn fat or the body fat that comes off last, well, then you understand that you need to unravel the entire roll and lose all that body fat. So I want to talk first about training, because this is probably the most misunderstood about, you know, having abs and having a visible six-pack or lower abdominals. While it is important to train, and you want to make sure that you actually build up the rectus abdominis and the transverse abdominis, you want to actually have a good core, not only for the visual impact that it can have, but also for stabilization and just overall health and well-being. So I'm going to show you a couple exercises that I like to do, my two favorites, specifically for the lower abdomen. But I also want to explain that if you're 25% body fat, doing these exercises will not make your abdominals present or visible. You need to get to probably 10 to 12% body fat before you really start to see that. And for most guys, I know myself, it's really below 10% where the magic starts to happen, where I start to see all the detail, and I'll probably have some video in this for you to see what that looks like. But that really starts to come at the very end of fat loss. It's very exciting once you get all the body fat off, because every little bit you lose, you start to see a little bit more. And by far and away, my most favorite would be like a hanging leg raise, okay? So you're sitting in an armchair with your feet below you, and you can bring your knees up, or if you get strong, you can bring your feet up. And if you get really strong, you can bring your feet up and actually bring your tailbone upwards so that you're actually really crunching those lower abdominals. My second favorite would be a decline sit-up. Now this is gonna hit the entire rectus abdominis, but you can really feel it in the lower abdominals as well. Those are gonna be my two favorite kind of go-to moves for the lower abdominals. Now, how often should you do these exercises? When I'm in a place where I really want to focus on my abdominals because I really want to build them, I like to do them at least twice a week, okay? 2 times a week, I'll set them up on like a Monday, Friday, something like this, where it really allows me to train them, recover, and hit them again. I try to get a little bit stronger as I progress. So if I'm doing a decline sit-up, I'll try to do 3 sets of say 10 to 12. Once I'm able to do 10 to 12, I might put a 5 or 10 pound plate on my chest and continue doing them that way. Likewise with the hanging leg raise. With the hanging leg raise, I really like to control the movement without a lot of swinging, making sure I'm bringing my abs all the way up and contracting them. You know, one way you can do that is by putting your hands on your abdominals to feel them while you're doing it. But making sure you're not using any kind of momentum and getting your abdominals contracted, controlling it. Again, if you start with something simple like 3 sets of 10, you can easily put a weight on your ankles. Sometimes I'll even put a weight between my feet in the form of a dumbbell and bring it up that way. Or you can do some static holds. So you bring your feet up and you really hold it and do a slow eccentric, right? So there's a lot of ways to add intensity, but no matter way you slice it, you want to just kind of be progressing. If you can do 3 sets of 10 this week, well, maybe next week you focus on 3 sets of 12 until you can get that done. Again, the goal here, I like to do 6 to 8 sets for abs twice a week, and that's really all it takes. It doesn't take a lot, but again, that's just to build them up. To reveal them, it takes a little bit more. So let's get into what everyone fears, and that is the nutrition aspect. The first thing that I want to dispel is that any diet that you enter is going to have to create a caloric deficit where you are losing body fat through expending more energy than you're taking in. Any type of diet that you've heard of, ketogenic diet, a fasting diet, snake diet, military diet, whatever you want to call it, they're all just methods of control that allow you to create a caloric deficit. You can diet any way you want if you are controlling your caloric intake. I'm going to give you my favorite approach, the approach that I've used every time I've dieted down, what I use with my clients. It's called flexible dieting, and it's more of a philosophy than an actual diet because you can use any foods that you enjoy to hit your daily caloric, daily macronutrient intakes, meaning how much protein, carbs, and fat you should have per day. Now this video is going to be pretty short, so I don't want to add in exactly how to do that, but I have a great video called How to Create Your Caloric Deficit. But let's start with the basics and then you can watch that video later. So for basics, when it comes to protein, if you set your protein around your target weight, well, that's going to be a great place for your protein to remain throughout the diet. Now, where should you set your fat and carbohydrates? These are the great questions. If you're someone that loves a high-fat approach and you've enjoyed using a ketogenic diet, that's great. Just understand that you're losing body fat not because you're on keto, but because you're creating a caloric deficit by eliminating an entire macronutrient group, which is carbohydrates. Now, carbohydrates are what gives us our energy for our brain and for our body until we switch over to ketones. So what I like to do with my clients is have them track or give me a baseline of what their average calorie intake is. Then what I do is like to set their protein at their goal weight or around there. For some people it might be a little bit higher or lower. I like to set their fat at 20 to 25% of their daily calories, and then the remaining calories come from carbohydrates. So some people might actually be able to diet on a higher carbohydrate approach. A lot of this comes down to how many calories we burn in a given day. I find that as calories get lower, carbohydrates tend to be the most restricted group. Now, when we hit a plateau in a weight loss phase, this just means that our body has figured out what our new maintenance is. So to keep weight loss going, what do? Well, you can adjust your calories lower, you can increase your activity through cardio or exercise, and these are the two main tools that we're going to use. So what I typically suggest in a situation where you want to see your lower abdominals is understanding that you're probably going to have to get pretty aggressive with calories at some point, meaning they're lower than you would like them to be. Hunger is going to be high. There is a cost of having six-pack abs. Depending on your individual makeup, it might be very difficult. It could be very difficult to maintain, and I'm going to explain exactly how we do that at the end of the video. But what I'll typically do is adjust calories by 200 to 300, making a smaller reduction, and then also bumping up cardio. You know, depending on how much you're doing, we're going to add in more cardio to each session that you're doing. So let's talk about exactly how we do cardio. Where should we start? This is another common video topic I get. How much cardio should I do to get leaner? Don't think of cardio as a tool to get leaner. Think of it as activity that creates a caloric deficit for you. A lot of people like to eat a lot of food. You can eat a lot of food if you move a lot and you can still lose weight. The problem becomes when we become a bit sedentary. If you're a very sedentary person and you simply add in 10, 15, 20 minutes of walking a day, that might be all it takes for you to kick in to fat loss mode. So don't think of cardio as something you have to do to lose weight. Think of cardio as a way that you can eat more and move more and still lose weight. I would much rather personally move a lot more so that I can eat more. However, this is a very individual preference. So let's say you're starting out on a weight loss phase, you're currently sedentary and doing no cardio. If you just get on a treadmill or a bike and ride for 10 minutes 5 times a week, that's going to be an increase. And as long as you're being accountable with your calories, that may be all it takes to kick you into weight loss, all right? So how do you increase it? Well, if you're doing 5 sessions at 10 to 15 minutes, well, you can simply add 5 or 10 minutes to each session. Depends how aggressive you want to be. Just be careful with being too aggressive because it can cause your body to really respond poorly and plateau quicker. However, if you have a very specific goal, like a photo shoot or an event you want to look great for, motivation can be a great way to push through some tough cardio sessions. Let's talk about the multiple types of cardio to get our lower abs lean. Now, high intensity cardio was all the rage a few years ago, and I, for one, was using the heck out of it. But what I found was it really wore me out. As someone who likes to be very active during the day, going to the gym, high intensity interval training, which is essentially an all-out sprint multiple times with rest in between, can really burn a lot of calories, all right? So as far as bang for your buck, you're gonna burn the most amount of calories in a HIIT session versus any other type of cardio. The research and my personal experience actually shows that when you do HIIT cardio, you then start to conserve energy the rest of the day because you're so tired. My personal favorite form of cardio now is walking on an incline treadmill. This to me is effortless. I can watch something and I can burn quite a few calories doing it. So the type of cardio that you do is going to come down to your schedule and what you enjoy. High intensity interval cardio, while it's great and it fits a lot of people's schedule because you can do it in a short amount of time, might leave you so worn out that you don't excel at your other training that you might be doing. Whereas incline walking, riding a bike, an elliptical, things like this allow you to recover and move forward so that you can actually train. Choose the one that works best for you, and again, as you plateau, just progress. That's what fat loss is all about. It's about finding the next level that you need to progress from. Alcohol is another topic I get asked about a lot. Can you drink alcohol and get shredded? The answer to that is absolutely you can. However, alcohol is another macronutrient group, okay? Alcohol is 7 calories per gram. But outside of the calories itself or the impact that it has in the body, it can increase cortisol, reduce testosterone, and also increase the conversion of testosterone to estrogen. The research actually shows that drinking alcohol doesn't really impact negatively women as much as it does men for these reasons. So when I'm getting very lean, I essentially remove alcohol from my diet if my goal is to be the absolute best I can be. But if you take your daily calories into account, you actually can include alcohol in your diet and continue to make progress. You just have to be careful because as alcohol lowers inhibitions, and when we're very lean, our hunger hormones are going to be screaming, you might be more likely to overconsume calories, thus putting on body fat. Not because of the alcohol, but because the alcohol lowered your inhibitions. Again, can it work? Yes. Is it probably the best thing you can possibly do when you're that lean? No. The final thing I want to talk about is just what it takes to maintain a very low and lean body fat. This is why I do not recommend people crash dieting into their goal, but instead taking a more controlled approach to fat loss. Over several months, losing 1 to 2 pounds a week, and the habits that you develop are what's going to be enabling you to stay lean towards the end. Most people, myself included, to remain that lean, to remain well below 10% body fat, have to continue with tracking their calories, paying attention to their macronutrient profiles, and also keeping up with some cardio and some ab training techniques, okay? It is something that you have to monitor weekly and daily. You can't just get lean and give up, okay? Once you're lean, you're gonna have to put in the work. The cost, for some, lower energy, higher hunger. Are those costs worth it? That's something that you're gonna have to decide. For me personally, I do it every so often to compete in a bodybuilding competition because I love challenging myself. But for those that just like to diet down for the summer, certainly I can see merit in that as well. It's great for your health and well-being to get in shape and you learn some healthy habits along the way. I certainly don't try to stay lean enough to see a shredded six-pack year-round. I find the benefit for me is dieting down and then coming out in a controlled manner. But all that comes down to your personal goals, and you can obtain them if you have a really good approach. All right, guys, that's going to be it for me today. The final video I'm ever doing on how to lose lower belly fat. Hope you guys are having an awesome day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.